Good morning, everyone. How different it is when we start with meditation, right? So before we even start, if you are up to it, I would like for you to rub your hands together and beam some light to Miss Christine right here. And you open your hand and receive, girl. Let's send her some healing light. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over, in, through, and as you. Wherever you are, God is. And you are healed. All is well. All right. I was called to do that because Miss Christine has shown up today despite feeling a bit under the weather. And so she gets an extra bit of loving. Yeah. Okay, let me come back to my body. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Reverend Evelyn Foreman, and today's talk, I actually had a different talk in mind, and Spirit's like, nope, let's, turn the car around. So I sent Sarah 2 talk titles, and I said, oh. So today's talk is gonna be about the frequency, being the high vibration that you are, showing up just as you are, as the grounding force for love itself. And I don't know about you, but life is always happening. We're kind of in that stream, right? Sometimes it's like, ooh, that's exciting. Sometimes it's kind of disappointing, and sometimes we have anxiety, like all these emotions that we get to feel as human. That's part of why we're here, to feel it, to receive it, to know what it's like to be human. And also we get to show up for others, our family, our friends, our community, as the grounding force of the love that we are, because we've all come with a soul direction, a soul directive. Sometimes we forget. So when we show up as the frequency, this is just part of the talk. This is to help us all remember. Now, what I'm sharing today, it's not anything that we don't know. I'm always just a reminder, right? That's kind of like my task. So let me get to slide 2. All right, so here's the question for you. What energy am I bringing into the room today? So we got grounded in the meditation. Your energy may be a little bit different than when you showed up this morning, or last night when you had an argument with someone, or driving in the morning, getting here, whatever it is. Because this is, they say that if you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answer. So this is a really pivotal question, because sometimes we forget, and then we start to go into a situation and we forget that we're bringing that really anxious, racy, hustling energy, right? So what energy am I bringing into the room today? And so in a world that is so filled with chaos, does anybody resonate with that our world is a little chaotic, right? Just a little. For sure, yeah. The invitation is not to escape it, because you can't get away from yourself. As within, so without, right? So whatever you hold within your body and your energy field is mirrored out, it's emanated out, it's going out into the world. So instead of escaping the tumultuous within us, we're gonna embody it. The world can feel sometimes really loud and fractured, full of fear and anger and division and confusion, lots of confusion. And I would also say that we get to remember that we have a choice. We don't need to respond from a trigger. We get to ask ourselves, before we walk into any situation, what energy am I walking into? Before you meet your IRS agent, before you talk to your credit card company, it's always about money, right? Before you deal with the insurance person on your house, whatever, before you go into a board meeting, etc., right? So this talk is really about frequency. So this is unity, like show up happy, bright, positive. And also life is not always bright and positive because we live in reality. There's also the stuff that we get to deal with, right? So, okay, let me stop and ask, how many of us here are Libras? Libras, like the astrological sign? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's it? Okay, who's not confessing? There's only 4 of us? That's crazy. I thought there'd be a lot of Libras. Okay, so Libra, the quintessential balance, right? So I'm calling on the Libra energy because some of us know that I do shadow work with a lot of my people. And shadow work involves going to the trenches of life to pull out all those things that stop us from being who we are. And this talk particularly is about not that. It's the other end of the scale, like showing up as the vibration and the frequency of love. We're leaning into it. So we get to have this balance, and life is a balance. It's yin yang, light, dark, inner, outer, above, below, and then being and doing. Ooh, that's a tough one. Because they're all, we're all about meditation and being present, and yet we've got stuff to do. We do. I mean, that's just, you're going to have stuff to do, probably, as long as your heart is beating, right? So keep that in mind, that this is not about spiritual bypassing. This is about just leaning into understanding. This is very intellectual, actually, because I like to do things that are more somatic, that we get practical with it, but this is a little bit intellectual. So let me change the slide. Okay, I said that already, but you guys can read it. I'm just going to keep talking. So the invitation is to not escape, but to embody. What does embody means? Someone actually came up to me, what does embody mean? It means to integrate. Like that, you don't just know a spiritual concept, the 5 unity principles, you don't just know it, but you live it and you practice it and you embody it. You make it part of your life. So it's a living practice itself. It's not just something that you espouse out to someone. The other thing about embodiment is that there is a period of integration, which means you can hear about a concept, learn about it, and then try to practice it. And there's integration, because the integration is you're still on this side, but you want to be over here. So you're going to go back and forth. You're in that flux, and it's perfectly fine, because if you're not going like this, you're never going to get over here, right? So keep that in mind. So then we root ourselves in spiritual truth. So there's lots of speakers in this beautiful community. We all live these little pockets of spiritual truth. So root ourselves in spiritual truth and rise in consciousness at the same time, to become a grounding force, to bring calm and clarity and compassion. Ooh, what's compassion? Compassion into every room, every moment, and every challenge. So for some of us, that word is a stretch, compassion. For the other person, when they're on the opposing team, however you want to say, it could be the sports team, it could be politics, it could be something, it's compassion. What does that mean? What about compassion for yourself? When you should, would, could yourself. Compassion, really huge. Whole different talk altogether. But it all goes back to choice, that we can choose to be the frequency in how we show up in any situation at any time. So for me, to show up in a high vibe and to show up as a frequency, I don't go to the side and go, okay, A, B, C. It's already embodied. Wherever I go, I just carry it, right? Wherever you go, you just carry it. Maybe you're working on getting there. That's okay. That's great. That's why we're in community. We're actually teachers and students of each other. I learn so much when I show up in community because I'm blessed. And so are you. We're all part of this beautiful flow, this beautiful river. And so I wrote down here, one way to show up in a high vibe is to be a non-anxious presence. Non-anxious presence. Yeah, it's a good one, right? When I was in ministerial school, I heard that for the first time, and I said, or someone said to me, oh, you just show up as a non-anxious presence. And I said, I do? What is that? must hide it very well. No, I didn't say that. I actually go, well, I'm not anxious, so I just show up. So when you do your work, when you meditate, when you're present, when you're grounded within your truth, you're rooted into your truth, there's no anxiety because you know that you're partnered, you're co-creating with Spirit, with God. So I don't know why, but I wrote in my notes here this whole spectrum of spiritual growth. You know how I kind of go off my talk notes sometimes? This is going to be one of them because I think it's important for us to know. So there's a spectrum of spiritual integration, right? So you're going from balancing to being. No, I'm sorry. You're balancing between doing and being. Doing and being. This is the spectrum of integration. And you start with spiritual awareness, and then after you become aware, and some of you think back when you first woke up, and think about the community that you were in, that there might be a tad little bit of spiritual arrogance, because like, oh, I know something they don't know. I know how to do this. I got it, right? There's some of that going on. And then after some time, you might see a little bit or experience a little bit of spiritual bypassing. Oh, I don't need to do that practice anymore. I already got it. So awareness, arrogance, bypassing. And then after some time, you start to integrate because some things may not work in your life. And then you're like, what am I doing wrong? And because you want to become a spiritual person, whatever that means, then you're like, okay, I'll do the practice. You finally give in and actually follow the practice. When you're practicing and you're embodying, then comes principle number 5. Does anyone remember principle number 5? Yeah, I act. Yes, you live the truth that you know. You come to beyond embodiment, you're demonstrating. And you're not demonstrating from a script. You're demonstrating because that's the core of who you are. You've shifted your vibration. You've shifted your intellectual wanting to know to that's the body, that's the energy that I embody, which is a game changer, right? Because now you don't have to get ready to be ready to not be anxious. You just show up and know, hey, this is deep abiding faith. God's got me. I'm going to show up as a vessel to channel what I need to channel. And it's a beautiful, beautiful process. So let's see what else we have here. Okay, I'm getting back. See, so I did these because it helps me stay on track. Because if I go wing it, we're going to be here for 3 hours. And I know you guys would love that, but it's not part of the service. So I created an acronym, the art of being the frequency. Number 1 is to anchor in the truth. Number 2 is to resonate with love. And number 3 is to transmit peace. So a minister a long time ago that I know, and this is in his honor, hey, teach by acronym. It's easy for people to remember, right? Because you're gonna go this week and go, ooh, I'm gonna go into this sticky situation. What do I need to do? Okay, right, art. What does art stand for? You're gonna text each other and find out what that is. So A is to anchor in truth. Let me get there. Is that quote up there? Yes, it is. Okay. So how do you anchor into truth? We just did it. We do it at every single service because if we're quiet, we can hear Spirit's voice. We can sense what Spirit is engaging, wanting us to engage with. If we're loud, we're noisy, we're distracted, we have the TV on, we have something, just too much. Grand Central Station. The quieter you become, the more you're able to hear. We can't steady others if we're untethered ourselves. You can't be an anchor if you're not grounded. So to be a grounding force of love, we must first ground ourselves. And the straightest pathway is quiet, silence. I know that goes against everything in modern day life. Things are just so fast in a world where we have so much technology and so much productivity and so much connection, so to speak. We are very disconnected. Many of us are alone behind a screen. And we're just disconnected with ourselves, each other, and ourselves because we feel alone. So if you anchor into truth, start with 30 seconds a day if you just can't stand it. And then move up to a minute tomorrow, minute and a half, etc. Do 15 minutes and see what it's like. Like give yourself that ramp time to sit in the silence for 15 minutes. Yeah, I know you guys have heard this before because we're here and we do the practice, but really be earnest with yourself. Our first principle, it's right there. Does anyone remember it? Should we do it together? There's only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And power and presence, like they switch it depending on which center you go. But the gist is there. I'm going to say it again. There's only one power, one presence active in my life and in the universe, God the good. Okay, you guys are not saying it, but that's okay. I'm going to have a call and response next time. So when the world shakes and life gets hard and when emotions swirl, guess what? It's easy to forget that there's only one power and one presence active in my life, God the good, because sometimes it doesn't feel good. But is feeling the truth? Or is your groundedness, your silence, your knowing, your clairvoyance, clairsentient, claircognizant the truth? Because that's God speaking through you, right? You're open. You become an open channel. Think about the last time you felt like there was a storm brewing inside. We've all experienced that, right? We've all been teenagers, so we've all experienced that. This is the storm brewing inside. So it could be a health scare or a financial setback or a relationship breakdown. We all have some element of that. Or maybe it's all at once, because sometimes it just has to break down to set you free, right? And what was your first instinct? Panic? Fix? Do more? Keep it together? Keep it zipped up? I remember when I first got to Maui, 25, I don't know, a long time ago. Seems like a long time. 30 years ago? I don't know. I had moved from Manhattan, New York City. I lived on 42nd and Park. No, 39th and Park. Wow, that's been a long time. It's by Grand Central, Midtown. And I had the opportunity to go to Maui, and I chased a boy there. Actually, the boy pulled me there. I didn't chase him, he chased me. He invited me. I said, sure, why not? I'm an adventurous soul. I've never been to Maui before. So all of my stuff went into shipping, and I flew to Maui. And is anyone familiar with Napili? No? It's north of Lahaina. It's a little community north of Lahaina, really beautiful. And about a week into it, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go home. Because it was so quiet, I was wigging out, right? It was the opposite, diametric opposite. Maui and New York City. And so I went to prayer. And back then, I was mostly unenlightened, right? But I went into prayer. And I knew it was mine when the Spirit said, stay and just settle in. And a whole bunch of blessings. I mean, that really is the beginning of the blessing that is my life right now. That I was able to be grounded despite feeling the storm, because there was all kinds of stuff of 9/11. Let me think about that. That was after after 9/11. I'm saying 9/11. All kinds of stuff in New York City, but that was right like about a year after 9/11 that I got over there. So nothing really shifted for me until I got silent. So if you're sitting here listening to this and you're feeling really tumultuous inside, there's a inner conflict of some sort. Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, calls it going to headquarters. You're going to God. Just be in the silent and let it wash over you. You can pray, you can meditate, just be in the silence. And if you get still enough and you're paying attention, you'll hear that still small voice giving you the wisdom that you need that's already inherently within you. Okay, so for the visual learners among us, imagine a tree in a hurricane. That's not hard to imagine. We're in Florida. What keeps it from toppling? Its roots, that's right. You're the root, and you're also the tree. So the winds of change is our life. The winds of, they have a name for it, the winds of change. The winds may howl, but you're rooted in God, and you're always going to be okay. So reflect for a moment. What is true of you no matter what storms rage around you? What is true of you no matter what happens? This is your essential essence. So take a breath with me and affirm silently, or maybe just not affirm silently. I'm going to say an affirmation, and I'm going to say it again, and you repeat after me. So the affirmation is, I am rooted in divine presence. I am unshakable in spirit. So I am rooted in divine presence. I am unshakable in spirit. Yes, you are. I can affirm that. We all are. We're just remembering is all. Okay, R is for resonate. Resonate with love. I also think R might be reality, the reality of love, to help you. So number one is anchor, right? Anchor, and then resonate. Resonate with love. You're going to beam that frequency, that vibration out. Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. I know that's a cliche. Everyone says that, but who amongst us really embody that? And who amongst us really demonstrate that? You know, there's always the next cut, right? You start small, and then it's just, it radiates out to your community. And then that one thing that you don't want to do, whatever that is for you, that's your next cut to be the change, whatever that is, right? I don't know. The idea of parking tickets come to mind, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. And just remember that our thoughts create our reality. Does anyone remember what unity principle number that is? Think really hard. Think. I am, Louder. Yeah, I think, therefore I am. Yeah. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I act. I'm doing the child's version because it's shorter, and then you guys get it like right away. Right? So the second step is to resonate with love. Come back to love. After you anchor yourself, where is my love? Open my heart. That's how you raise your vibration, by the way. You don't close down and clamper down and close your energy. You want to raise your vibration? Anchor yourself. Get rooted. And then open your heart. So heart equals love, right? You don't attract what you want, my friends. You attract what you are. Yeah. So we teach here that your thoughts and your feelings create your reality, and that our consciousness totally matters. Our consciousness totally matters. So it's not just thinking good thoughts, but actually sending the vibration out to see the good and to see it right, because energy is all connected. Has anyone ever heard of Schrödinger's cat? Okay. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to way off field, but look that up. Schrödinger's cat. So, okay. I'm going to skip this story because I know time. So this practice here is for our kinesthetic learners. You guys know, like, feely, touchy, right? So if you're called to, go ahead and close your eyes and feel your energy right now and see where your energy is. Not your thoughts, your energy. What does your body feel like when you think loving thoughts? What does it feel like? Is it expansive? Yes. Yeah. How does it feel when you're thinking fearful thoughts? Yeah, you want to skirt away, hide. You don't want anything to do with it. It's icky. And you guys can go ahead and open your eyes. Just remember that you are the tuning fork. In every step that you take, you're the tuning fork for the energy in the room that you walk into, in the grocery line, at the gas station, online with the telemarketer. You're the tuning fork, because most of us want to go click. Right? Yeah. Right. So just remember, you're the tuning fork. What you put out, you get back in. It's an energy field, right? So ask yourself this: what energy do I carry into my home, my work, and my relationships? Okay, the affirmation. I am a clear channel of divine love. I choose love in every moment. So before we affirm this together, take a breath, open your heart, and really feel this energy. So I'm going to say it one time, and then I'm going to say repeat, and then you can repeat it, because I want you to hear the words instead of jumping right in to affirm. When we do the affirmations, it does us no good to just affirm it in words. We've got to feel the energy. We've got to embody the energy. That's the difference between rotely saying it and actually knowing it in our energetic body. So listen to me one time, and then I'm going to say repeat. Take a breath in and release. I am a clear channel of divine love. Feel it and repeat together. I am a clear channel of divine love. I choose love in every moment. Inhale and repeat. I choose love in every moment. Feel it. Feel your choice. Feel your choice. Okay. Number 3, transmit peace. Give it away. Give it away. Number 1 is what? Anchor. We all forgot already. Anchor, art. Anchor, resonate with love, and then transmit peace. Love and peace. You guys remember love and peace. A is anchor in truth. R is resonate with love. And then T is transmit peace. So you're giving it away now. You're giving away peace. You're transmitting it, right? Thich Nhat Hanh. Peace begins with me. What unity principle is that?
5.
Yes, it is 5. Live the truth through love and service. I act. So your presence heals more than anything you can say. Just know that. You know, like if someone passes away, there's a transition. You don't go to that person and start talking them through it. Just be present. Hold the space of vibration of love and let it be from a high frequency so that you're a non-anxious presence. But you can't be that for another person if you're not rooted and grounded in truth. Really beautiful. So let's see. Nobody told me this is falling. Thank you. I almost tripped on myself. So, thank you. So this transmit peace is all about demonstration. Demonstration. Do you remember the spiritual stuff I was talking to you about before? You know, the whole bypass thing and the awareness thing. So spiritual awareness, spiritual arrogance, spiritual bypass, integration, embodiment, demonstration. But you got to do it in the context of a beginner's mind if you don't want to have all the kinks in your path. Beginner's mind. So years ago, I was called to visit a woman in hospice care, and she couldn't speak anymore, and her family was tense and grieving and pacing the room. So I was called in, and I didn't say a word. I just stood there and held the space for them, because that's what chaplains do, right? We just hold the space. And she was going through a transition, and my presence was enough to ground the room, to allow the family to grieve and to do what they need to do to say goodbye. And it's almost like, has anyone been to a birth before? It's almost like a birth, except it's a transition, leaving the planet as opposed to coming into a planet. You guys have been to births, right? Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone's still awake. This is not one of those services where you kind of fall asleep and you're playing video games or, that kind of thing. At least I hope not. So the song that Karen Drucker sang earlier, that you are enough, your light is enough. You just tune into that and latch on to God's spiritual, like God's spirit's energy. And just know that no matter where you are enough because you're here. You made it. Now it's playtime. And the way we play is to engage with each other, right? And be present. Okay. Affirmation. I am a living prayer of peace. My presence blesses everyone I meet. So the first one, I am a living prayer of peace. Repeat. I am a living prayer of peace. Say that again. I am a living prayer of peace. Feel it this time. I am a living prayer of peace. My presence blesses everyone I meet. Together. My presence blesses everyone I meet. My presence blesses everyone I meet. This time, feel it. My presence blesses everyone I meet. Yeah. So, with regard to living the living prayer of peace, if you stop to think about it, you are the dream your ancestors dreamt about. It's true. We are the dream. And how many people in your lineage have fought and loved and conflicted and died and all of that stuff for you to have a privilege of being here today? To experience whatever life wants to live through us and to be present to that is a miracle. A miracle. So for that we get to celebrate. Right? And forget, it's not like we don't have stuff in our life. But there's a greater reality that we get to live and we get to embrace. And for all of us who might have conflict or issues or whatever, fine, that's why we have community. Come back. We're here to support you, right? Okay, where am I? I do that a lot in this community. It must be resonating energy, right? So, as we come to a close, okay. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Yeah. If the only prayer you ever say is thank you. Thank you for life. Thank you for your ancestors. Thank you for the presence of this moment. Thank you for your breath. That's enough. So I'm going to repeat these three. Anchor in truth. So be grounded. Resonate with love. Show up as the loving one. Transmit peace. Give it away. Give it away. None of it belongs to us anyway. Absolutely none of it. Okay. Wow, it's so long and thinky. That's what I'm getting from you guys. Life is change. We're always in flux. And here's the thing. You could be in conflict with someone today. You can still love them. Because we're always in flux. We're always changing. We're always changing. We're always changing. They're not going to be the same next week. We weren't the same last month, yesterday, etc. We're always changing. So as we're changing and we're conscious of it and we do it in community, we're going to say, oh yeah, last week when you were changing and you were really irritable, I love you anyway. It's okay. Because this week, it's my turn to be irritable. And you get to love me anyway, right? Oh, there's going to be stuff that wakes us up. Sometimes they're rude awakenings, they're 2x4s, and it's all a blessing. If you can see it as that, and if you forget, prayer chaplains are right here. They're all blessings. Financial disembodiment, for lack of a better word, health, relationships changing and shifting. It's all part of your wake-up call. It's beautiful. It really is. All right, let's see. That looks like our last affirmation. I will be the grounding force here. Repeat. I will be the grounding force here. Okay, this time say it, but like you decided. I will be the grounding force here. I will be the grounding force here. I will be the frequency of love and peace in this moment. Together. I will be the frequency of love and peace in this moment. Okay, so close your eyes. Think of someone you have a conflict with. Bring them to mind. Breathe in. I'm going to say it one time. You're going to feel it, and you're going to see that person in your mind's eye, and you're going to repeat after me. I will be the frequency of love and peace in this moment. Together. I will be the frequency of love and peace in this moment. Amen. Okay. And this is just my final slide. If you want to get into my ecosystem, that's my website. My assistant did that for me. I work with people in helping them return home to the truth of their being, because sometimes we all need a reminder, right? So I don't know if that page is up or not, but if it's not up, get on the waiting list. You'll be the first to hear. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for having me here. It feels like home. And I'm already in, the energy of this community. It's a great room. Yes, it just vibrates. It's great energy. So thank you so much for being that grounding force for me and to hold space for my visit. It's such a blessing.